Hi, this is Rochelle with Live in Vibrancy, and in this video, I want to talk about one of the areas that I see people struggle the most. And this actually can be sort of like a make or break it area, and it's really natural for a lot of us to slip into this. So becoming aware of it and shifting to break this habit will make a significant difference. So I've talked about this in other videos and I've linked those below. And I refer to this as looking at what is. So when I talk about what is, I think it's important to note that when you're not attached to outcome, your energy isn't going to be yanked around by what is and what isn't, right? And your focus is less likely to gravitate towards what's not happening. So if you find yourself caught in this frustrating habit, working on letting go of attachment is one of the first areas that can really help you break this. Okay, so looking at what is, or more importantly, noticing what isn't, is less about circumstances. And when we're focused externally, we really think that it's about circumstances. But what it actually is, it's about the quality and the direction of your focus. So I've talked about focus before because it can be really subtle and it's really important. You could say that it's part of mindset. It definitely demonstrates sort of what you feel and believe about yourself. So if you want to understand your identity at a deeper level, really begin to look at what you're focused on. So it's part of mindset because if you believe that you're going to be successful, your focus will be on what's working. And when you hit challenges, you will see them, you won't see them as setbacks necessarily. So this is a growth mindset. But boiled down to it, it's about your focus. What are you focused on? And so you may believe that you're focused on manifesting something or someone into your life, when in actuality, you're focused on the fact that they're not in your life. And you can tell because your body will always give you an indication of what you're feeling. So if you are focused on your creation, or it's going to feel good. And if you are focused on them not being in your life, there's going to be heavier energies like frustration. And so the average person who's struggling to manifest what they want is struggling because they're looking at their results and noticing what hasn't happened yet. And I could say that this is very much across the board. And this is also why I talk so much about internal focus, and that the clients that I work with, the ones that are the most successful, are not looking outside of themselves at what's happening and not what's not happening. They're focused internally. And this really brings it, sort of boils down what I'm talking about in this video. So first of all, right, focusing on what's not happening, that puts your focus outside of you. So when your focus is outside of you, you're not fully aware of your alignment. You're not utilizing the power of embodiment and the fact that you are actually a conscious creator. And you're focused on changing something outside of you. And so when you're focused on changing something outside of you, like I talked about in another video, the minute we focus outside of ourselves, your body actually goes into this natural state where you are a little less conscious. So now your reactions, you're less in control of your reactions. You're more likely to be pushed and pulled around by what you see outside of you. So you're more likely to be affected by circumstances. In addition, when you're focused on changing something outside of you, that's a key indication that you're out of alignment, which you'd know if you weren't focused externally, if you were focusing internally. And this is the power of embodiment. So if you're looking at what's going wrong and how it's not happening yet, and you're thinking about, well, what do I need to do? How do I make this work? You're subtly focused on the fact that you're failing. When in fact, failing is a perception. So you're not necessarily failing, but that's the implication by these thoughts. So you're not focused or aligned with the state of being the version of yourself that it actually living in the end, the version of yourself that has it, the version of yourself for which it's a foregone conclusion. And not only does this keep you in, so focusing externally and wondering like, what can I do? Right? How do I change this? It not only keeps you in a masculine energy of manifesting, because manifesting is a balance of masculine and feminine energies. And I don't mean gender, I'm talking about polarity. And masculine energy is doing. So doing the visualization, doing the affirmations, doing the meditations, never being in the relaxed state of receiving, which is feminine energy. So not receiving, because you need to have that blend. And so a lot of teachings, when they're talking about techniques, it's just doing, doing, doing. So there's a lot of masculine energy. And while, yes, this is important, and at varying different levels, there's going to be some level of action, whether that's just to get into alignment or whether that's actually taking a physical action. It depends on where you are in the process. But also receiving. Faith and trust are energies of receiving. So if you never enter that, you are sort of lopsided in terms of your energy. And so it's also important to recognize that not only, right, does focusing externally on what you need to do to make something happen, put you out of focus, like knocks your focus off of where it should be and keeps you in the masculine energy, but you also create what you are. And so you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. And so on top of that, the mind expands what you focus on. So if you're focused on what isn't happening, immediately you've made some unconscious meanings about yourself already. Particularly if you have attachment, because often we're manifesting something if we're attached to it. There's and it's not even always unconscious, but frequently it's unconscious. There's meanings, there's validation. It's sort of a validation seeking thing. And so when you don't have that attachment, you're not held down by these things. So if you're focused on what isn't happening and what's not working, you are amplifying those results, because like I said, the mind expands what you focus on. And so thoughts like, what else do I need to do? How can I make this work? These thoughts are colored by frustration, and they're coming from the energies of wanting and lack. And sometimes they even might have some anger. And so these are all really like heavy, painful energies. These are like lower vibrational energies. They literally constrict your energy field. And in fact, if you see what's going on in your body, these energies cause contraction. They actually cause oxygen constriction in your body. And so that's sort of getting off topic, but not totally. So what this means is that although you know what you want at the level of your mind, you're emotionally aligned to exactly what you have now. And I talk about this a lot because if there's a fight between the mind and the body, like they need to be in alignment with one another, or the body rules, because it literally is the subconscious mind. And so if you're trying to create from lack and pain and struggle, you literally just continue to get lack and pain and struggle. So, and this is because, again, manifesting isn't about changing something. It's about bringing something in that you're consciously, energetically aligned with, whether you want to call it law of assumption or law of attraction, or, I don't really care what you call it. The process is the same. So you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. The desire is the starting point, but you have to be able to move in to alignment, emotional and mental alignment with it. So if you're being someone who is struggling and who's in lack and who's suffering, those heavy energies anchor you into this reality that you don't want, because you're in emotional alignment with what you don't want. And as your focus goes to what's not happening, you move actually in a intellectual alignment with what you don't want as well. And so the mind expands what you're focusing on, and it gives you more reasons to experience pain and struggle. And so it compounds into like a cycle. The pain amplifies the need to fix something, and then this feeds the attachment, which causes you to focus on not losing something, and then that feels heavy. And around the cycle goes. And this is where a lot of people start to make really negative meanings about themselves. They start to believe things like manifesting doesn't work for me. And this is where a lot of them will give up, but not before really taking a hit to their self-concept, because they start to make manifesting personal. And manifesting is not personal any more than doing math is personal. It's not. I mean, there's a process to it. 2 + 2. I'm sure people who are, I'm sure some people could probably argue this with me, who can like get into like calculus and higher levels of math, but 2 + 2, based on what we learn, is 4, and not everybody can do that math. It's not a personal thing. It's not about them. It's simply 2 + 2 is always 4. And again, I'm sure someone could come up and tell me at higher levels of math that, but we're not, yeah, that's off topic and I'm not going there. So to break out of this frustrating cycle, it's really necessary to first notice that you're actually in it. And then you want to be able to process the energy through into like a more expansive state. Because as I said before, you're only ever going to think as good as you feel. And for the people that feel like I need to give you my credentials, I have a job. This isn't a job interview, but that's actually neuroscience. So I don't need credentials to read and understand neuroscience. So anyway. Sorry, that's an aside because I thought that was amusing. This once you can manage what's going on internally, you can actually really begin to shift your focus more long term. If you don't work with the energy first, you can shift your focus short term, but you're not in emotional alignment with it. At some point, you're going to feel like you're lying to yourself. And so this is where like I said, you want to start with the energy. You want to process it into a lighter energy. You want to allow it to move through you. You want to resolve whatever trauma might be kind of keeping you stuck in a negative focus, meanings that you have about yourself that are misconceptions, because you are an infinite, expansive being and you are only as limited as you believe yourself to be. And I understand that there was a time that something like that, I couldn't understand really that I was only as limited as I believed myself to be, because I could argue for all my limitations in the areas that I felt stuck. And that's because you're only going to see what you're in vibrational alignment with. And that is why we start with the physical part, the body. You want to start with your somatic experience. And then once you process that energy through into something lighter and more expansive, you, as I mentioned, you can only think as good as you feel. So you will move into vibrational alignment with something that's greater. And it's not going to necessarily feel like a lie, because you are more emotionally aligned with it. And so there you can start to shift your focus. And if you do find that you get caught, gratitude is a really good way to like step into this. Gratitude for the challenge. This is happening for me, not to me. And Napoleon Hill talks about this. And I'm going to slaughter this because I never write these quotes down, but it's the seed of something equal or greater can be found in any loss, heartache, or failure. You get the point. And I mean, reminding myself of this in some of my most challenging, crappy circumstances really helped me sort of peek over the top so that I wasn't getting caught up in what's going on outside of me. But I've always created from a really internally focused place, because then I can really manage my alignment. And the more embodied you are, the more subtle levels of alignment you're going to notice, because you're a multidimensional being, and therefore you're a multivibrational being. Your vibration is not just about your mood, and it's not just about your beliefs and your thoughts. You have an entire somatic experience that's happening, and the more embodied you are, the more aware you are of the most subtle levels. This is also a really great way to begin to manage and reprogram your triggers. But that's That's off topic. So like I said, from there you can start to shift your focus, and you can start asking, rather than seeing the challenge as a setback, what is this showing me? Who is this showing me that I'm being? And so this is like a stone on the path, right? I think Neville calls this a bridge of incidents, but I like to think about it as like, not all the stones are pretty. Some of them are broken, some of them are sunken, but it doesn't mean they're still not part of the path. And so what my negative focus can be showing me are my blocks. And just like I talk about in actually the importance of utilizing your mental diet to move through your sticking points, rather than just trying to bulldoze over it and then keep these sticking points. This is the same. If you find yourself in a negative focus, use it to really understand what's happening for you. And recognize that this, and it might seem indirect, but it's taking you to what you're creating instead of, I'm not here yet. How can I make it happen? And this sense of feeling stuck. Because when you're stuck, that's a perception. And if you're feeling stuck, it's because you're focused on being stuck. And so it's really easy, like I said, to slip into that negative focus. This intelligent biological system that you are operating is actually designed that way. It's part of your survival instinct. So understanding that you are not your thoughts, in fact, you are not even your emotions, and you can manage these if you really understand how to operate this system. And we don't manifest from survival. You manifest from the higher aspect of yourself, the aspect that can manage this biological system. And so just to clarify, because I always like to be really clear about this, I never mean going into denial. I never mean repression, and I never mean suppression, because what happens there is, and I take it from me, I learned this the hard way, and then I've seen it again and again and again with people I work with. If you manage to manifest something through repression and suppressing whatever emotions are coming up that are out of alignment with it, don't worry, all of those emotions will come back and torpedo your manifestation. And this is how people will manifest something and then lose it. So I really encourage you to actually do the energetic work and process that through. And so you have to really work, because we slip so easily into that negative focus. You have to work really on making it a habit to notice the direction and the quality of your focus, and your thoughts will take you there, which is again another reason why we don't want to just bulldoze them right over. They're actually going to show you deeper things that are kind of like the shortcuts to creating. So noticing that I'm focused on what's wrong and what's not working and what's not happening, and then using the tools to make that shift. And by tools, I'm talking about processing out the energy, noticing what I'm believing about myself, like what identity am I coming from, what am I in emotional, like energetic alignment with. These are the tools. So because getting into emotional alignment with something is not about, like I said, suppressing or repressing. It's about learning to move those old energies through you, dropping aspects of your identity that quite frankly are not truths, and creating new energetic patterns within your nervous system and your energy body so that you can begin to manifest the things that you want easily, whether you're attracting them through law of attraction or simply being able to stay in your assumption. It's all the same. Acceptance, plays a really key role also in making that shift. It's important to be able to say that I can accept that this is where I am right now. And I can also know that I'm manifesting what it is that I want, and that I'm manifesting what I am, not where I am. And so now I have the capacity to consciously choose who I am and be aligned with a desired result and not aligned to my current circumstances. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please share, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.